Welcome to the fascinating world of colors. I'm Anita Winters and I do intuitive art. Today we will be diving into one of the most powerful and evocative colors in human history, red. As one of the first pigments used by early humans, red holds a special place not only in art but also in the broader tapestry of human culture. And as always, while unraveling the mysteries of the color red, I'll be sharing glimpses of my latest work in process, which of course features this vibrant hue as well. Unfortunately, I didn't realize until later that my phone ran out of space while recording the creation of this background. So sometimes things happen for a reason, I guess, but anyway, if you've seen my previous videos, the process is pretty much the same. To create this, I used hot press watercolor paper and calligraphy inks with gold dust, allowing colors to bleed and interact with each other in the ways that are both organic and unpredictable. Once the background is dry and ready to work on, I start bringing in some lines and shapes using my acrylic paint pans. Everything is intuitive and organic, no overthinking, just taking your pen for a walk. One of the earliest uses of red in art can be traced back to prehistoric times. Red ochre, a natural earth pigment, was used by early humans to create cave paintings, such as those found in Lascaux, France. These early artists applied the deep, earthy reds to depict animals, human figures, and abstract symbols, suggesting that red has been a key color for communicating ideas and experiences for tens of thousands of years. Red ochre has also been found in burial sites, indicating its ceremonial use in rituals and beliefs about life and death. In ancient Egypt, red was linked to both life and destruction. It was the color of power and vitality, but also of danger. The Egyptians associated red with the desert and its god Seth, who was seen as a force of chaos. However, it was also the color of the protective goddess Isis, showing its duality in meaning. In ancient Rome, red was tied to the image of Mars, the god of war. It was a symbol of courage, military strength, and bloodshed. Roman generals wore red cloaks and victorious gladiators were given red ribbons signifying their triumph in battle. By the Middle Ages, red had taken on strong religious connotations, particularly in the Christian Church. Red was associated with blood of Christ and martyrs, representing sacrifice and divine love. It was also used to symbolize the fire of the Holy Spirit, notably in depictions of Pentecost. In medieval Europe, fabrics were expensive and reserved for elite, enhancing its association with power and wealth. Red garments, particularly those made from cochineal, a highly prized dye made from insects, were worn by royalty, nobility, and high-ranking church officials. During the Renaissance, the symbolic power of red became even more pronounced. Artists like Titian, whose mastery of red was so renowned that a shade of red is named after him, Titian red. He used the color to signify importance and vitality in his portraits and religious works. In Titian's Assumption of the Virgin, 1518, for example, the vivid red cloak worn by Virgin Mary elevates her figure, drawing the viewer's eye and conveying both spiritual power and emotional intensity. Red was also a status symbol during the Renaissance due to the high cost of certain red pigments. One of the most famous red, vermilion, was a deep, vivid red made from powdered cinnabar. It was often used in frescoes and religious paintings, prized for its rich, bold appearance. Pigment named carmine, the one extracted from cochineal insects, became highly valuable in Renaissance Europe. Spanish colonists brought this vibrant red dye from the New World, and it quickly became one of the most expensive and sought-after pigments for painters and textile makers alike. Historically, the creation and availability of red pigments were challenging. Red pigments like vermilion and carmine were expensive and difficult to produce, making them precious resources for artists. However, development of synthetic pigments in the 19th century revolutionized art. Cadmium red, developed in the early 20th century, provided artists with a bright, durable, and stable red pigment that quickly became favorite with artists such as Henri Matisse and Mark Rothko. With industrialization, red became even more accessible. The invention of alizarin crimson in 1868 was another major breakthrough. This synthetic dye replaced the more costly and less stable natural madder, providing artists with more affordable yet vibrant red. It became the color of revolution and rebellion, symbolizing political movements like socialism and communism. The famous red flag, a symbol of leftist movements around the world, was born during this period. Artists like Eugene Delacroix used red to symbolize liberty and revolution. His famous painting, Liberty Leading the People, 1830, features a woman holding a flag as she leads revolutionaries in the July Revolution in France. In this painting, red represents the bloodshed and sacrifice required for freedom and change. In Russian avant-garde art, red became a key symbol of the Bolshevik Revolution. Kazimir Malevich's use of red in his abstract works, such as his 1915 painting Red Square, represents the revolutionary ideas of his time. Red in this context was a color of modernity, progress, and the political of radical social change. Modern artists continued to use red for its boldness and emotional intensity. In the 20th century, Henri Matisse was one of the key figures to explore the power of red in modern art. His painting, The Red Studio 1911, is a striking example of how red can dominate a composition, creating a warm, vibrant atmosphere while also flattening space and drawing attention to the objects in the room. Another notable modern artist, Mark Rothko, used red extensively in his color-filled paintings. In works such as Number 14, Red Orange, Rothko layered different shades of red to evoke deep, meditative emotions. For Rothko, red was not just a color, but a tool to convey existential themes of tragedy, ecstasy, and human suffering. Red's symbolic meaning varies significantly across cultures, which reflects its rich history. In many cultures, red is seen as a color of life, vitality, and celebration. For example, in China and other parts of East Asia, red is considered a lucky color and is associated with prosperity and happiness. In China, red is worn at weddings and during Lunar New Year celebrations. Red envelopes containing money are given on such occasions to bring good fortune. Similarly, in India, red is traditional color for brides, symbolizing purity, fertility, and marital bliss. In Japanese, red has traditionally symbolized life, vitality, and energy, frequently appearing in woodblock prints and architecture. The torii gates of Shinto shrines are often painted red, symbolizing the boundary between sacred and profane. In the West, red is often associated with both love and danger. Red roses symbolize love and desire, while red lipstick is considered alluring and bold. At the same time, red can also evoke caution, aggression, and danger, as seen in red sign warnings and hazard symbols. These cultural associations can influence how people react to red in different settings. In a Western corporate environment, for example, wearing red might be seen as assertive or aggressive, while in a Chinese context, it might be viewed as a sign of positive energy and success. The color red also has a profound psychological effect on people, largely due to its intense and stimulating nature. Throughout history, we've seen that red has been associated with powerful emotions, and studies in modern psychology confirm that red has a unique impact on our mood, behavior, and psychological responses. Exposure to red can increase heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration. These psychological responses are often linked to the body's flight or fight mechanisms, which are triggered by stimuli that the brain interprets as exciting or threatening. This makes red one of the most arousing colors, eliciting a sense of urgency, excitement, or heightened awareness. Red's dual nature, evoking both love and rage, makes red one of the most powerful colors in terms of emotional impact. Red grabs attention more effectively than any other color. Psychologically, this is because red is perceived as a color of urgency and importance. Research has shown that people are more likely to notice red objects quickly and remember them afterward, which is why red is often used in advertising, stop signs, and alerts. In competitive context, red can signal dominance, which is why it often appears in sports uniforms and logos where brands want to stand out. In social and competitive context, red can communicate power, status, and dominance. Studies have shown that athletes wearing red uniforms are often perceived as more aggressive, confident, and dominant than those wearing other colors. In fact, research on Olympic boxing and wrestling competitions has found that athletes wearing red were more likely to win their matches compared to those in blue, likely because red subconsciously signals strength and determination. Red is also associated with authority and status in many cultures. In business, for example, wearing red can signal assertiveness, confidence, and leadership. It's not uncommon to see people wearing red ties, also known as power ties, in high-stakes situations like business, negotiations, and political debates or interviews. However, while red can improve focus on simple, immediate tasks that require attention, it can also hinder performance in tasks that require deep concentration or creativity. Studies suggest that prolonged exposure to red can create anxiety or stress, which might interfere with complex decision-making or problem-solving, especially in high-pressure situations. For example, red has been shown to negatively impact performance on tests or tasks that require creative thinking, as it may trigger stress and fear of failure. While red can boost energy and focus, overuse may have negative psychological effects. Its intensity can cause stress or agitation, making it unsuitable for calming environments like bedrooms or therapy spaces. Interestingly, red has been found to increase appetite, making it a popular choice in the food and restaurant industry. The color stimulates energy and excitement, which translates into greater hunger and faster eating. Fast food chains like McDonald's, KFC, and Burger King use red in their logos and restaurant interiors to encourage customers to feel more hungry and to eat quickly. The link between red and food may have evolutionary roots. Some evolutionary psychologists suggest that red is associated with ripe fruits and healthy food, prompting a stronger desire to consume. Psychologically, red is often seen as a sensual color, and studies have shown that wearing red can increase persons' perceived attractiveness. This is likely due to the fact that red, being a color of attention and energy, can signal fertility, health, and sexual readiness. For this reason, red is a popular color in fashion and beauty, especially in romantic context. Red dresses, red lingerie, and red lipstick are all considered alluring choices that convey confidence and passion. The color red has been a cornerstone in the history of art, imbued with deep meaning and symbolism, whether used to convey the passion of love, the pain of sacrifice, the power of revolution, or the beauty of nature. Red remains one of the most evocative and multi-faced colors in artists' palette. Its ability to command attention, stir emotions, and represent complex ideas has made it a favorite for artists from prehistoric times to the modern era. Thank you all for taking this journey with me, and if you'd like to see more of my intuitive art process, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Until the next time, stay inspired and let the colors guide you.